So if you've ever visited Amador County and you've went wine tasting, you've probably heard of this winery, Scott Harvey. All right, Scott Harvey Wines. And today we're able to talk to one of the newest winemakers at Scott Harvey. That is Mollie Haycock.
Yes.
Yeah, Mollie, thanks so much for joining us
Well,
today.
thanks for having me.
And a new position for you?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, I've actually been with Scott for 6 years now as his assistant winemaker, and just within the last couple of months transitioned into the winemaker role.
Yeah, exactly. So, obviously it's a transition for Scott. He's moving into, you said, an executive role.
Exactly, executive winemaker.
Right, and you're going to kind of be the day-to-day winemaker, right?
Exactly.
All right, well, that's great. What is your philosophy in making wine?
I like to make wine, and Scott likes to make wine too, that is all about showcasing the vineyard, showcasing where the wine is from. We want to make wine that tells stories, and so we want it to have a very specific story of place and time. We also want to make our wines that are fantastic to drink on their own, but really shine when we pair them with food.
Right, and that's a double mission as a winemaker, right?
Exactly.
Because some people are going to drink the wine without food, and you want that to be an enjoyable experience, where other people are going to have maybe some kind of meat, and how's the wine going to work with that or work against that? And so that's kind of you're kind of trying to stay on the fence there, right?
Exactly.
Make it both, right?
Exactly. And we may lean one way for a particular style of wine that we're making, and we might lean more heavily into the other direction.
Okay.
A lot of that plays with acidity and freshness in the wine and how it pairs with food, and so we'll make some intentional decisions on how we're going to go about making that wine and making those decisions.
Now, one of the wines that Amador County is really known for is the world-class Barbera.
Yes.
And I know Scott Harvey makes a lot of that, right?
Yes, we do. We make a lot of Barbera. I think this last year we made 6 different Barberas.
Well, that's a few.
It's a few.
That's a few.
Yeah.
So how did you get interested in becoming a winemaker?
I actually applied for colleges as pre-med biology.
Wow.
I was headed towards the track to being a doctor, and decided at 18 that 12 years of school was very daunting. And I actually had a lot of encouragement from my dad, who had graduated with an engineering degree from UC Davis.
Okay.
Well known for their exceptional wine program.
Yeah.
And so he kind of encouraged me to look at this wine and viticulture thing.
Okay.
Growing up in the suburbs, I got asked all the time when I was in school, hey, do you come from a family of winemakers or grape growers?
Sure.
Nah, I'm just a kid from the suburbs.
And,
We had a lot of wine on the table, but other than that.
Everybody has to start out somewhere.
Exactly.
Right? I went into a career myself, and nobody in my family was in that career.
Yeah.
And they looked at me like I was crazy. They still do, okay? They still do. But that's great, because you found something that you were interested in. I'm just wanting to call you the doctor of wine, if that's okay, if that's all right. And so, it's funny, because winemaking is a scientific process, right?
Yes.
So it's not as much of a stretch from being a doctor as somebody might think, because you're dealing with chemistry, you're dealing with how things go together.
Exactly. I took a ton of chemistry, microbiology, organic chemistry, biochemistry, dealing with everything. It is a scientific process of, going sugar to alcohol, and fermentation and aging is all science-based. For me, winemaking is such a beautiful blend of that science and numbers-based process with art. There is an artistry to doing this, because you're looking at subjective qualities, how things smell, how things taste. There is some chemical reaction happening there, but you're still evaluating it on a perception level.
Right, and then you're looking at the grapes, and are they ripe, or are they too ripe, or are they not ripe enough, and when is the proper time to pick those grapes as harvest season comes?
Exactly.
Right?
It's all about balance for us, and in our style of winemaking, it's everything in balance.
Right. We are talking with Mollie Haycock. She is one of the new winemakers, even though she's been with Scott Harvey for 6 years.
Yep.
She's moved into kind of, I want to say, the daily winemaker role.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, and as Scott Harvey has moved into more of an executive winemaker position.
Correct.
And so you're going to be carrying the mantle on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
Is there a lot of pressure in that with such a prestigious winery?
I feel like there is, but I also feel like with working with Scott for so long that he's been such a fantastic mentor for me. that I feel really prepared to take on this mantle, and he's still going to be
Right.
around. It's
Right.
he's not disappearing,
Right.
so I can continue to pick his brain on
Hey,
stuff.
Scott,
Hey,
yeah.
you want to swing down by the cellar? We've got
Right.
some things we want to taste.
Sure, sure.
So we're still working very much together as a winemaking team.
Right.
We've just kind of both shifted in our
Sure.
in the direction.
Well, and Scott's been doing it for how long?
This will be 48 harvests.
Yeah, and I mean, he has really kind of put Amador wine on the map.
Absolutely.
You know, I mean, he's kind of, I would like to say the king of Amador County winemaking.
I would say so
Yeah,
as well.
yeah. I mean, because half the time or 3/4 of the time you mention Amador County, his name comes up. right?
Absolutely.
And so those are huge shoes or boots to step into
Yep.
to continue that role. But it sounds like you have a good foundation of having worked for the company,
Yeah.
understanding his vision and what direction the winery kind of needs to go for the future.
Exactly. I feel very prepared to help, continue the legacy of the wines that we have been making over the years, and that Scott has been making long before I got to the winery.
Right.
But that I can also help us step into the future and how we can even elevate even further
Right.
with what we've already done.
And then a question I have for you is being a woman winemaker. It's still, a lot of men, right, in the
It is,
winemaking
yeah.
industry.
Yes.
So what kind of pressure do you feel to kind of open the door for women that are coming up and maybe want to do what you're doing? And how do you feel you're going to be able to leave your footprints on winemaking in Amador County?
Well, I'm already thankful for the women who've come before me in this
Sure.
this industry, because
Right.
they really were the pioneers of
yeah.
opening, kicking down that door.
Right.
There's
Right.
lists upon lists of names of fantastic women in the wine industry.
Right.
I'm excited to start getting put into that same group, to start start stepping my way into
Right.
the category like
Sure.
that. And my hope is that we do see a lot more women coming into the industry. It's I won't mince words on the fact that it is a hard job. It's
Right.
dirty and sticky. This is the fanciest I get to look during the
And
week.
it's long hours.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
there's the number of times I've slept at the winery
Right.
is I lost count after a week.
Yeah, I've had a career where I've slept on a couch so I could do another radio show because I had to be back so early. So
Yep.
I completely understand what
Yeah.
you're saying. Well, I think that's great because we need more women stepping into winemaking and really kind of putting their footprints on it.
Absolutely.
Because I believe everybody has something to offer.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what I hope to do too is, we're not trying to take up space, but we're trying to, carve our own path
Right.
as women in this industry and women in math and science and all of those industries we're moving into a space that we're making for ourselves.
Right. Well, on that serious note, and that was kind of a serious note, let's talk about the wine that you brought.
Absolutely. I've got some Mountain Selection Barbera. It's our 2018.
Nice.
Scott and I both believe that Amador County is the best place in the world to grow Barbera. We've got fantastic draining granitic soils. We're in the foothills of Granite Mountain Range, just like in the Piedmont where Barbera originates in Italy. But we have a lot more sunny, hot days. In their growing season, they don't typically get as many hot, sunny days. They get a lot of fog, and Barbera, being a sun-loving varietal, thrives up in Amador.
Right. I mean, the thing is that's gold country. That's where the gold rush happened and everything. And I think some folks found a liquid gold, which would be the wine in Amador County.
Absolutely,
right?
yeah.
And the thing is with being in such a history-based area, you look back at the past, I'm sure. How wine came about in Amador County.
Absolutely.
And then you have to look forward to the future. What's going to be the trends in the next few years?
Yeah.
How is winemaking changing now, say, versus, say, 10 years ago? Is it different?
You know what? I always like to say that the process really hasn't changed from in 5,000 years since they started making wine. It's still turning grape juice into wine and stopping it before it turns into vinegar.
Okay.
What we've been able to do is really take advantage of advancements in technology. And so we're dealing with, cultured yeasts. We're dealing with all sorts of new products coming on the market that make our job as winemakers easier.
Right.
I like to say it's my job as a winemaker to bring in the best quality fruit I can and then not screw it up from there.
There you go.
And so we're getting a lot of new tools coming into the market that are helping us be able to do that and really show the expression of the time and place of these wines that we're producing. We want to take it from vineyard to bottle and have it be a really true expression of where it came from and when it came from. And we're getting a lot of technology that's allowing us to do that much easier.
And I always think the reason people love wine so much is it's the story in each bottle. Right?
Absolutely.
Each bottle kind of has a story with how it came about, how the winemaker fell in love with wine, and to carry on that story. And then it's the special memories we attach to that. Maybe it's a family get together. Maybe it was, wow, I really enjoyed my trip to Amador County.
Yeah.
And so it's entwined with the story and memories that people create with the wine.
Of course it is. We want to tell a story with our wines and the story of how Scott and I both came into the industry, but we also want to share that with our guests. And so having people come and visit us where we can share that story really easily is a really great opportunity for us.
Now, Scott Harvey Wines has several locations you do in Amador County. You have, Center Street, and you have the tasting room there.
Yep, we have the tasting room, Main Street in Sutter Creek.
Right.
We have our winery in Plymouth.
Right.
That's right on the main drag on Shenandoah Road.
Right.
We also have a tasting facility out of the old sugar mill in Clarksburg.
Oh, wow. Wow, I did not know that.
Yes. Yeah. So a little bit closer to this area, a little less of a trek, but I always encourage people to come up to Amador County, especially if you haven't been before, because it's gorgeous out there. We're in rolling hills, and
it's beautiful.
You just drive until you feel like you're getting lost, and then all of a sudden you make a turn and you're in these little gold rush towns, and then all of a sudden you're surrounded by wineries.
Yeah, it's not a bad deal, and I've always loved that country up there. It's just, it kind of takes you back, it takes you away. If you're like living in Sacramento or the Bay Area, it's definitely feels like you're miles away.
Yeah.
And the wine is part of that experience, I think, that really makes it happen.
Yes. And we're able to produce, really unique wines because of our unique growing situations. And, wine changes, grapes change, even from tiny changes in elevation. A couple 100 feet is going to change how a vine produces and the fruit it produces. It's incredible. Mother Nature makes so much of our decisions for us, and we just roll with it and say, okay, well, this is what's going to happen this year.
You kind of got to follow along Mother Nature and kind of go with her plans, because your plans are going to mess it up.
Exactly. Exactly.
Mollie Haycock, it's been a pleasure.
Well, it's been wonderful to be here.
Yeah, and so we're so glad to have you. Scott Harvey Wines, of course, a big legend in winemaking in Amador County, and if you haven't visited, you definitely got to visit. And we'll look forward to more of your work, Mollie.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, thanks so much for joining us. It's Rex on the Road.